about to listen to the incomparable Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Holly. We always go over, brother, and that's the bottom line. Dig it? So, sit back, relax, and prepare to be entertained.
With the monolithic WrestleMania 17 now in the rearview mirror, the question on everybody's lips was how could the WWF possibly put on a show that could rival X7 either critically or commercially? The answer? Icon versus Icon. Having not made his way over to the promotion when WCW was purchased by the WWF, instead choosing to wait out the duration of his lucrative contract, Hollywood Hulk Hogan was back on the scene. Opposing him was the People's Champion, The Rock. A match that few thought we would ever see was the star attraction for WrestleMania 18. Despite not appearing in the showcase of the Immortals for 9 years, the incredible crowd in the Skydome ensured that Hulkamania would get one of the greatest receptions in WrestleMania history. The originally planned bout was rumoured to be Hulk Hogan against Stone Cold, but due to the two conflicting egos and Austin's resentment toward Hulk Hogan for his time in WCW, an agreement could not be reached. Instead, Stone Cold will face off against Hogan's fellow NWO stablemate in Scott Hall, a man who, in his own right, had not appeared at a WrestleMania for 7 years since jumping to Ted Turner's organisation. Elsewhere on the card, and a match that would actually main event the show, Chris Jericho looked to defend the Undisputed Championship against the Royal Rumble winner, the returning Triple H. 2002 would prove to be the calm before the storm when it came to the all-conquering game. From one end of the card to the other, opening the show would be the WrestleMania debut of the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam, who would challenge Blackpool's own William Regal for the Intercontinental title. Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle would pit his credentials against the Big Red Machine Kane in a real clash of styles. The featured attraction for the female competitors would see defending women's champion Jazz look to best two perennial fan favourites in Lita, as well as Toronto's very own Trish Stratus. Trish, being the patriot she is, adorned herself in her nation's colours for this event. The night wasn't all positives, however. On paper, the match between The Undertaker and Ric Flair should have been a real sight to behold. However, the rinse and repeat, chop and punch affair was less than palatable given the length of the encounter. With the storylines of the Attitude Era being heralded as cutting edge, perhaps the ashes of that creative fire were evident on this show, as the basis for the match between Edge and Booker T centred around a Japanese shampoo commercial. A continual theme throughout the show was the hardcore title match that originally featured Goldust taking on the defending champion and Season 1 winner of Tough Enough, Maven, but would soon devolve into featuring the likes of Spike Dudley, Crash Holly, Hurricane, Mighty Molly, Al Snow and Christian, with the conclusion not taking place until near the show's culmination. Overall, WrestleMania was a strong offering by the Federation, and in fact would be their last prior to their corporate change in name to the WWE. The 18th iteration would prove to be one of the most star-studded shows in the history of WrestleMania, but to say it was a masterpiece from start to finish would be more than a little misleading. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 58 of the Win Twice Wrestling Podcast alongside your host Scott and Holly. I forgot my name there for a second.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of rust that we'll need to shake off for this one. But forgetting one's own name is never a good start to a show. But yeah, as we said, there's been a little bit of time between this recording and the last. I think it's been close to a month, to be honest, but we had a couple in the bag which tided us over for a little bit of that time. But apparently the flu sucks.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll be honest, it's been so long, I forgot you were, I forgot that's why we first couldn't do this.
Yeah, because we had...
sick as a dog.
Because we had everything planned out, because you went away for a week in that period as well. So we had it lined up, so we were going to do this recording, which would have been split into two parts, given the length of the show. And then we had another one, which we were going to watch, and then record later that week. So we would have had 3 weeks' worth of content, and we wouldn't have missed a beat.
No.
And then the flu.
Yes.
Kicked in, and I'm going to say touch wood here. I don't
you are
often
touching a
get
bookcase, just FYI.
Yes.
Just in case.
Yes. Yes, I've got to show some sort of decorum around here. But yes, the flu, like, I don't often get colds, and when I do, I can usually kind of just power through them, carry on working. But this one laid me out for no, it wasn't even that. It was 3 working days, but 5 days.
Yeah.
I was absolutely... there was no chance of doing anything, let alone like standing up was a real struggle.
Yeah.
So have your flu jabs, people, is what I've decided off the
All
back
right,
of that one.
Grandad.
I know. I mean, speaking of my granddad, it was his 94th birthday, Tuesday just gone. Surprised him, went round... they did a little... no one cares, but I'm going to tell you now.
Okay.
They did a little celebration in Fetcham. They've got this kind of South African food shop. They've got a little cafe in there. And Mum had invited me, and I'd said... oh, I'm working, and then I realised afterwards, like, oh, I'm not. So I went there, surprised, and that was nice. Although Mum forgot to order me a coffee.
Livid.
Honestly, we went up. She said, "What do you want?" I said, "Oh, I'll get this," and she went, "No, it's my treat for everyone, so I'll do it." So okay, so I'll just have an Americano, please. She went, "Okay," and I heard her order an Americano. Great. I went and sat back down with everyone.
Not for you.
Went and sat back down with everyone, and they brought, you know, the drinks over, and there was about 7 or 8 people there, and they said Americano, and I put my hand up, and my grandpa took it from them and started drinking it, and I went, oh, okay. And I thought, no, hang on, she only said 1 Americano. I was like, something's gone wrong here. So I ended up having to go up and buy my own drink, like a common
first world problem.
Honestly, it's such a first world problem. And my mum was like, oh, I'm such a bad mother, aren't I? I said, oh, you realised? Just having casual shots fired across the bow. I did actually get my own back on her because she was talking about, as she always does, the dog. She said took the dog to the vets, and it was a absolute scene, as it always is, because the dog hates the vets. Surprise, surprise. And she said, the vet said, oh, do you know what? For an old dog, she's in pretty good nick. And I said, oh, was she talking about socks? And Mum went, oh, did I not say socks? I said, no, you did. I'm being a tool. And then she threatened to stab me with a fork. So, yeah, it was a lovely week off
Nice.
that I had. But we're right back in the saddle.
Yeah.
We were back on the march.
Yes.
The March Through Manias. And we're on 18.
Yes.
It feels like about a decade since we've done WrestleMania 17.
It does.
But, you know, we're still sticking with the programme. We will get through these WrestleManias if it kills everyone, to be honest, at this point. But WrestleMania 18.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into the overall starting point yet, because I've just got a few questions that I'd like to rattle off and give you the opportunity to share your thoughts. Exactly. Well, no, we're talking about this now. We're not talking about that. So, for me, WrestleMania 18 is one of the most memorable WrestleManias for me.
Okay.
For a few reasons. One, because this was very much in the period of time where I was cognizant of wrestling in general. So I watched it, like I said, from the age of...
What is that? Sorry.
So I'll explain. So from the age of 18 months, I was watching wrestling.
Yeah.
Probably not taking a great deal of it in.
Yeah.
Up until about the Attitude Era, which is when it started to sink in to me, and I started to retain information. And come 2002, I'd been quote unquote smartened up to, you know, the inner workings of wrestling through like magazines, all this kind of stuff. So I knew obviously what the deal was, rather than it being a legitimate sporting contest.
Right, okay. What's that word?
Cognizant. So aware of.
I can guarantee you I won't ever be using that.
I'm going to challenge you now. I'm going to
Cognizant.
Cognizant, yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you a word every episode for which you get to try and shoehorn into life over the next week.
I'm just going to use it at work tomorrow in a completely unrelated situation.
I'm going to say, oh, Holly, what are the numbers? You're going to say cognizant, and I'm going to be like, excellent. And everyone's going to be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Who's this girl?
Yeah, but I also had this on VHS.
Oh, okay.
And it got replayed a lot. Because for me, the idea of having The Rock against Hollywood Hulk Hogan was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-blowing. Like, 2 different generations. One was with the competition, because, like I said, I was a WWF diehard, so the WCW was the competition as far as I was concerned. And then he came back over, and they had this match. And I made no bones about it. I'm a big Rock fan.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
I'm going to assume who you are siding in this contest by the time we get there, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So that's where I was in my wrestling fandom at this time. What had you fallen away from it at this point? Were you still getting tapes over the back of the fence?
I was still there because I think 2002, so I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still there.
Okay.
But I don't remember. I'm waiting for a Mania where I actually remember anything.
Really?
I think I'm going to be waiting a long time.
Oh, I'm trying to think what you might have seen. Because there was that period you fell out completely with it.
Well,
so.
yeah.
Okay.
But no, I don't remember any of this.
Wow.
None of it at all.
So have not even from like clips, where you see they snip it.
There are some clips in this. I think I might have pinpointed them and gone, that's where it's from.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know what I was. But I suppose Mania back then, if it was a tape over the back fence, it probably would have been one you had to pay for, maybe.
Yes, it would have been.
So then, no, that wouldn't have been a thing.
Oh, so you only got the free, obviously, because then, yeah, I didn't know. So your neighbour, just correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't a fan. They just did it out of goodness. Right, okay, yeah, they're not paying for that.
Yeah, so
yeah, fair enough.
No, I don't think. I think it'll be quite a few years before I go, oh, I'll watch this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think which one. I'm fascinated to think which one that will be, because from like 17 onwards, there are a few WrestleManias between. So my first memory of a WrestleMania was 7. Okay. So I saw that. I don't remember 8, but I remember 9 and 10. And then I don't remember. So like I've seen them all.
Yeah.
But from back then, so I just punched the microphone. But from back then, there are a few that, like you said, they kind of fall into like a haze where I don't really recall most of it.
It's my normal life.
The Holly Haze, we're going to call it.
No.
There you go. That's your wrestling name right there, the Holly Haze.
No.
I think that's worked. I think that'll work. So you were still very much getting tapes over the fence, but this wouldn't have been one of them. Okay. Well, you've actually already answered my next question. So there is nothing in terms of memories from this show other than like seeing snips of it that have been used in other things.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Right, this is a big question.
Oh, God.
So does this still feel like the Attitude Era to you?
A little bit.
Yeah?
A little bit.
Because it's considered like 17 is the blow-off Attitude WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And this isn't quite in the Ruthless Aggression era. But it's heading that way.
Yes.
It's kind of in the bit between. So you would still...
To me, it's a little bit. If I had a pie chart, there'd be a slice of the pie.
Nice.
That would say it's still there.
So still slightly attitudinal.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't say it's gone to the next...
No, I agree.
It's kind of like in the... Come on, Holly, what is the word?
The interim phase.
Yeah, sure, that'll do.
We could have been here a while otherwise.
Honestly, my brain does not work right now. Yeah, but so it's kind of like in the No Man's Land.
Yeah, there you go, No Man's Land. But it's also the cast of characters that they've got is still very much Attitude Era.
Yes.
There's a couple of faces that maybe don't quite conform to that we see on the card, just because... It's difficult because obviously we've got a little bit of ECW presence in the card as well, and even though that is still took place within the Attitude Era, because it wasn't in the WWF or even WCW, it doesn't quite feel like they were part of the Attitude Era, even though they were doing their bits at the same time. Rob Van Dam being the person that I'm thinking of, but even Jazz. So Jazz was ECW as well, because I think we saw her appear briefly in one of the ECW shows that we watched. So it does kind of fall into that weird spot, but to me this is the dying embers of the Attitude Era, because we don't get a lot of the same people going forward. Like a lot of them kind of fall away. Like this feels to me like Hogan does appear on other WrestleManias that we've not yet seen, but this feels like a last hurrah. Yeah. Scott Hall, he ain't appearing on another.
We'll get there.
Oh, we will get there, Mr. Scott Hall. Kevin Nash, like it's these type of people. I mean, and I tell you what, not a single 1, 2, 3 Kid, X-Pac or 6 to be seen on this entire show. You can't see this, but she's literally fist pumping in the air or tossing off 2 giants. I couldn't quite tell, but I'm going to go with the fist pumping. Yeah. Either way, I was okay with it. But let's dive into the show.
Let's do it.
So WrestleMania 18 took place on the 17th of March 2002. The venue was the Sky Dome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. They're going back there. Last time they were there for a Mania, it was Hulk Hogan against Ultimate Warrior. And again, it's one of the venues I've actually attended in person. So there we go. The attendance on the night, speaking of which, was 68,237. And the pay-per-view buy rate was a stonking 860,000, which is very good. Tagline actually works for this show because a lot of them have been nonsense, but this one's good. Icon versus Icon.
Yeah, okay.
And we'll talk about the match placement
Yes,
on the card
please,
later.
because I've got some things to say.
I've got a story on that as well, but that is literally going to be at the tail end. Okay, so the show opening. The show begins with no flashy promotional package, but a live shot of the arena with a WrestleMania X8 logo in the top left-hand corner. We hear the voice of Lillian Garcia, which kind of makes me a little bit sad.
Why?
Not because I dislike Lillian Garcia,
Yeah.
but I like Howard Finkel.
Oh,
I love a
okay.
bit of Howard.
Right, okay.
Like, that's the voice of my childhood for ring announcing, and many people's, to be fair. And like I said, I'm not even trying to do Lillian a disservice, because she does the job absolutely fine. But it's the same way I think about replacements for JR. You can be very good, but
You're not going to live up to...
But it's tough, because I've got the nostalgia lens on my glasses that
Oh.
I'm looking at it through. Cognizant.
Thank you.
So they opt against the national anthem, because obviously. So they bring out Saliva as they sing Superstar, which is an absolute, unmitigated banger.
Yeah.
I've got it on I listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah,
it's in my playlist.
Yeah.
There's quite a few Saliva songs, I must say. And I'll be honest, his live version, very good.
Yes.
They reappear later as well.
Yes.
Not as good,
No,
but
this was very good.
the
I
live
enjoyed
performances on this show were up there for me, I
Yes.
thought. But if you remember last time they were doing WrestleMania in Canada, didn't they have that Renee Goulet come out and do Oh Canada? So yeah, they just thought,
good, yeah.
absolutely fuck yourselves this time. We're doing what we want. And it worked. I really liked it. I've just said I'm a big fan of this song. I think I've covered that bit off quite nicely. It's funny, though, she talks about them as being award-nominated, and when you say something like that, I expect to hear Aretha Franklin or Ray Charles, like, Grammy award-winning, Saliva! Just like, doesn't sound right. Like I said, I'm a fan, but it seems like they're kind of shoehorning these kind of platitudes into... There's another one for you. As they perform at the top of the entrance, we see a promo package playing on the big screen that features a number of the ongoing feuds which will culminate at this event. Holly is shaking her head.
It just... because I knew nothing. I was just a bit like, I love to keep it as knowing nothing.
Yeah.
And okay, they don't play it, like watching it on obviously on telly. I saw the back screen and I thought, I wonder if they're going to make that the whole screen and just have the live music. But I'm glad they didn't.
Because you could choose to not watch it.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I did the same. One, I knew what the matches were anyway. There were a couple that I'd forgotten, but for the most part, I remembered it.
A couple you wanted to forget, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One that I had forgotten about, and I wish I'd forgotten about. And the basis of the feud is fucking remedial. It is so dumb, but we'll get there. So I basically thought, do you know what? They're doing a live performance. If I don't look at what's happening on the screen in detail, I don't need to write it down. So I thought I will watch the live performance and say ongoing feuds, which was the decision I took, because by the time they're done with the performance, I was like, nice, we're about 6 minutes into this now, and it's
only
a
3.5 hours to go.
Exactly that, and change. I can honestly say, Holly, though, this gave me goosebumps, and that was only partly down to it being a touch cold in my house at the time. I refused to put the heating on all day. It's outrageous, the prices of it. I got a bill.
I don't have to, so I'll be honest. It's fair.
I got a bill from my energy provider. Won't be naming names.
Oh my God.
It's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine.
We're doing this.
And on today, this morning, sent me a PDF. I opened it, and they said, we're charging you 90 quid this month or something like that. And I thought, okay, that's quite a lot. And then I looked, and it tells you what you actually used. And it said, you actually used about £73, but because we've got a minimum of the tariff, so you're not really... So I might as well put it on for longer and end up paying the same.
Yeah.
I think. Although I should probably go, no, you actually use more. Oh, okay, so we'll do this. So it went from like £73 to £93. Gosh. And then I looked at my balance and it said, you're in credit of 190 quid. Use it all. Don't partake it and then...
tell them.
Well, apparently it's a big argument, and then I have to pay the phone bill for them to be on for it anyway. It's a first world problem.
Gosh.
I'm very fortunate to be in the situation I am,
Yeah.
but don't like having people put their hands in my pockets unless I've asked them too nicely. Something for later. The VT package continues, featuring the likes of Rock, Hogan, Austin, Triple H, Jericho, Undertaker and Flair. There it is. That's the other one I've just remembered. Amongst others, in one of the most star-studded WrestleManias of all time. That was seamless, okay? No one will have even noticed that.
I joke. I couldn't do it.
But do you not think, like, from top to bottom, if you look at everyone who's on this card, there's the odd exception here and there. I'm not naming names, Crash Holly.
Maven.
Maven. Jazz to a point.
Yeah.
But especially when you consider who she's with as well.
Agreed.
We'll get to that. It's probably one of the most stacked cards. Now, it's difficult to say, because if you look back at, like, WrestleMania 3, there's obviously all these legends and stuff like that. But in terms of the volume of matches and the people involved, even though all the matches weren't great, it's a heavy-hitting lineup.
Yeah, agreed.
I've got a story for you, actually, and I haven't written it down in here, and there's a chance I might forget about it, because I was watching a video on YouTube, and they actually came up with this fact.
Sure.
So, I don't know if you know this, but Maven does a lot of YouTube stuff at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. Well, he said that there was one person he always had a problem with, or had a problem with him more specifically, backstage, that being Perry Saturn. So Perry Saturn has gone through a lot of hardship since being in the wrestling business, and he looks like a completely different person.
He's the guy that wears the lampshade hat and
Moppy.
fell in love with a mop. Yeah.
That is the same gentleman, yes.
Storyline,
which is funny to think, because he's legitimately, or was legitimately, a badass, tough guy that you would not want to fuck with.
Yeah.
A shooter, they would say, in the business, which I'm not a part of, but I just know that to be the case. And he met up with Perry Saturn to kind of like clear the air between them. Perry Saturn was perfectly nice to him, and there was no issue there that I could see from the amount of the video I watched. And Maven just came out and said, "So what was your problem with me?" And Perry Saturn said, "I didn't have a problem with you, but basically, so like Hardcore Holly had said to him, you need to make sure that, you know, they know their place effectively, and they don't do anything out of line to basically earn their stripes to then, you know, go on and have a career."
Nice.
But Maven thought that Perry Saturn was against him because he was replacing someone on the WrestleMania card. So this was obviously, he went in there as a champion, albeit it was the Hardcore Championship. He was going in as the champion. Holly, do you know who he replaced on that card? And I want to see your face for this.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Who?
Test.
Stop
this
it.
This is the test.
Are you joking?
No.
So it could have been...
So Maven took the place of Test on this show.
Ridiculous.
Why?
Now I'm annoyed.
I knew you would be. You're even more annoyed by the time we get there, but I didn't know that. And you know, you have to take it, I guess, with a grain of salt because it's coming from Maven. But I see no benefit of him making that up, and he would have known, I guess, at the time, or he would have been told that. So I'll have to take that at face value. So that is why we didn't see Test and his testicles.
Honest, I did wonder. Yeah.
Because he was still in the company for another. I'm sure he was there next year. He went away for a bit, didn't he? But then he came back for a short time.
He came back with this short... Was it the short hair?
Yeah, looking more rodent-like than ever before.
And then, obviously...
he ceased existing, sadly. So, yeah, I thought I'd just get that little nugget out for you nice and early. You're welcome. Thanks. Honestly, buckle up. It's going to be a long, bumpy road. So as Saliva finish up their set, my God, we haven't gone beyond Saliva yet. As Saliva finish up their set, we now get the expected show opening video package played to those at home. Every major sport has their special event, is what the title says. It's not a sport. Camera shots from the... I'm not saying it's not athletic. It's not a sport.
Oh, I'm not getting involved.
It isn't a sport. It is athletic. It's you get injured. Absolutely, all that stuff. Very true. It's not sport because there's a determined outcome in it, so it's not a sport.
Sure.
Fine. Just to be clear.
I know. I'm not getting involved in this because I know. Even at work last week, I appreciate you weren't there. This debate came up again, not about wrestling,
okay,
but about other things, and I was like, I cannot be part of this again. I cannot.
What were the? Oh, Tom did something then, I assume.
Oh, it's just not. It's not. I can't do
She's
it.
got her
It
head
gives
in
me
her
PTSD.
hands.
I can't do it.
Fair enough. Camera shots from the rafters of Stadium WrestleManias from years gone by are used alongside elaborate firework displays. As we hear a number of WWE stars detailing the importance of this event, we see footage of the likes of Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant and Randy Savage with dramatic music underlying the piece to add gravitas to the whole presentation.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
You're coming up with all the words. Someone's been reading a thesaurus.
I was firing on all cylinders before the flu took me down. I'll have you know. Warrior running to the ring for the winner-takes-all match. Undertaker walking between the flame-wielding druids, which we've talked about before. I told you, you'll see it all the time now.
I know.
Unforgettable stare-downs between the likes of Austin and Mike Tyson, as well as Hogan and Andre. They're really building this one up to be a big show, and he's not on the card. More moments follow, some older, some more recent, as we hear from Stone Cold, The Rock, Ric Flair, and many more say what WrestleMania means to them. Jericho says he wants to take this opportunity to be considered one of the greatest of all time. Hogan wants everyone to think of him as the Babe Ruth of professional wrestling. Now, there has never been a truer statement out of Hulk Hogan's mouth than that. You're thinking, Babe Ruth.
I do know that name.
The ultimate baseball player from the early 10s, 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's considered like the GOAT. That's what Hulk Hogan wants to be known as, modestly, of course. Yeah. And I just thought, yeah, I absolutely believe you mean that as well. The VT comes to an end and we transition to spirals flooding the screen as the WrestleMania 18 logo is formed in a fetching gold and steel blue. Holly, thoughts for the colour palette?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because the other one was kind of... Actually, it was kind of similar, wasn't it? It was kind of bronzy, then steel blue, but now we've gone gold. So
yeah, I'm not mad at it. It's
okay, fine. Just get the expert opinion in here because I don't deliver the same as you do on that front for sure. Big fireworks display at the grandiose entryway. My God, Scott. And also from the ceiling before the cameras pan the crowd and we hear the comforting voice of everybody's favourite Oklahoma native, good old JR, welcoming us to the show. Nostalgia. We continue to pan the arena, packed with fans, as well as taking a brief trip to WWF New York in Times Square, which is equally heaving, it seems. And obviously, a wrestler gets delegated to go there, and we'll get to that later. As King begins to chime in, we swiftly transition into the opening contest of the night. Quite a quick little... Because normally they go to the commentary desk, they're talking for a while, then something happens.
Saliva taken up all that time, so we've got to go.
God bless the boys of Saliva.
Yes.
Don't like that phrasing at all. Opening match, Holly.
Yes.
One of about 400. We get Mr. Rob Van Dam against William Regal for the WWF Intercontinental title. Immediately... Were your allegiances split here?
No.
Rob Van Dam?
Always.
Of course. Well, I thought fellow Brit, you might have kind of...
No, it doesn't fuss me.
No.
Not against RVD.
Not even when he comes out going, hello, waving to the fans. Love it.
No.
Absolutely love
Not
it.
if you're against RVD, I'm afraid.
Okay, so you were in RVD's corner. Did you have a bet with yourself if William Regal or his opponent would get a bloody nose?
No.
Okay, because I feel like that should start to be a bet because it's unbelievable.
That's true, actually.
The amount of shows we've seen where either he or his opponent or both get a bloody nose. But for the Intercontinental title, especially when you consider some of the other title matches that are on this show, weird one to start with.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, they did the right thing because Van Damme comes out first, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But it's also a good... You hear the... And the crowd like, yeah! It kind of gives them that little bit of the wind beneath their wings. Oomph. It does. A bit of je ne sais quoi, as Mr. Henri would say in the advert. So before I spend a single moment talking about these competitors or this match, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the WWF album that is being advertised. So how do you reckon that marketing meeting went, Holly?
Just shove it in the corner
like
every 10 minutes.
The guy going, we need to think of a title for this album. What have we got? Remember, there are no bad ideas. A booming voice from the head of the table comes back with, what about sexual assault? Vince, I know we're still going for edgy, but isn't that a bit much? Fine, damn it. Forcible entry it is. Forcible entry.
Yes, I hadn't even thought about it like that.
You tell me
That's so bad.
that is not Vince McMahon, okay? Like, that was the watered-down version of what he wanted, for sure.
That's his finishing move. No?
Honestly, like...
That's brilliant, thank you. That's the laugh I needed today.
But seriously, what were they thinking?
Very good.
It's
well done.
so... Oh, thank you. But it's so... It's, like, weirdly at the time... I don't think I thought anything of it.
No,
but now,
I would have just thought about maybe like
breaking and entering. Which also, again,
well, fair enough.
Yeah, especially with Vinnie Mac and his proclivities. There you go, another word. I'm giving you 6 so far today.
Brain.
But I just imagine him being the one to go, yeah, like what fell off the the decision board. Like, anyway.
Very good.
So that's what happened there. In what has to be considered an early contender for outfit of the night, Rob Van Dam makes his way to the ring, but there must be something slightly off with the audio as he doesn't hit us with the thumbs to shoulders when Howard Finkel announces his name. So I assume there's some sort of
playback.
Yeah, like, or
maybe?
echo chamber type thing going on in the arena, because a lot of the wrestlers have said that even though it looks cool to wrestle in a stadium, it's so hard to gauge the audience's reaction because all the noise goes up. Like, whereas in an arena, it's quite enclosed, so you can hear it reverb around. Mm-hmm. Whereas in a stadium, there's
just
nothing.
Escapes, doesn't it?
Exactly. So that is quite interesting, and I think this is an example of it by Van Dam missing his always thumb-to-shoulder moment. Let's not forget, Holly, this is the first time Van Dam has made a WrestleMania appearance.
Yes.
And my God, what a show to pop that cherry on, to use your terminology.
Cheeky.
Fellow Brit and defending Intercontinental Champion William Regal makes his way down to the ring with a face like a smacked arse. But he does graciously wave to the filth sat in the crowd, which was big of him, I thought. As he gets to ringside, King wants to talk about Regal's gift, which JR queries. What gift? You mean brass knucks? Van Dam, meanwhile, teases slingshotting himself over the ropes and onto the champion, but decides to exit the ring via the middle rope instead, as Regal quickly rolls into it. Van Dam follows him, and after Regal takes the title belt from around his waist, he swings a left hand, which the challenger ducks as the bell sounds. Van Dam fires... Did you think... Sorry, I know you said you were in Van Dam's corner. Not did you think in general. That's harsh. Did you...
But fair.
Who did you think would win this?
RVD.
Okay, you thought RVD?
In my head, whoever I'm backing... You should know this from my poor choices at Progress shows. Whoever I am favouring, that's who I'm backing. Whether it makes sense or not,
okay.
That is
so you actually think you thought he would win. Okay, fair enough. Van Dam fires off a number of forearms, but finds his whip reversed. He ducks a clothesline, though, and scores with a jumping back kick to the jaw. Wild clothesline puts Regal down again, and now Van Dam scores with a standing moonsault. Very nice. Mounted forearms to the champion and a few kicks when standing score before Regal is whipped into the buckles. RVD, RVD.
That's just me at home.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how that your voice can permeate through time and location. It's incredible. Incredible. You often as well in that situation sound like a sea of dudes, I've noticed as well.
I do have a very deep voice though, so...
Yeah, not at that multitude, you don't. Van Dam charges but runs into a back elbow. As the ref is checking on him, Regal spends a good 20 minutes trying to rummage in his tights to pull out the brass knuckles. When he does retrieve them, he walks toward Van Dam, who kicks them out of his hand and follows up with a standing back kick to the face that puts the champion down.
Lovely.
Yeah, agreed. Regal is begging off on his knees, but that doesn't stop Van Dam from drop-kicking him in the chest and forearming him into the corner. That was a tongue twister. Whip to the buckles, but Regal ducks under the spinning kick that was thrown his way as he stumbles out of the corner. He doesn't, however, avoid the springboard back kick that follows up, and he hits the canvas hard. One of the things that always worries me about Van Dam is how he lands on one leg. I think I might have mentioned this before, but there's periodically where it doesn't look like he lands perfect, and I go, oh.
Yeah.
But he always seems to kind of he's like Gumby. He will just bounce back and carry on. Fair play to him. I really should practice doing more splits between two chairs whilst carrying a weight, shouldn't I? I think that's the secret.
Yeah, maybe you feel more comfortable.
Or marijuana, I guess, would do the job as well. Like, bit of both. Maybe. Bit of both. Let's not rule out anything. Okay, where do we... Oh, no, here we are. Up to the top goes Van Dam, and he's looking for the 5-star frog splash, but Regal rolls clear. The champion hits the ropes and connects with a vicious running knee to the side of the head. Forearm to the face for the cover, but it only gets 2, so he tries again with the same result. Holly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like every time we cover a William Regal match, either he or his opponent gets a busted mouth. And more often than not, it's usually him. It's uncanny, like it happened with Tajiri, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There was another match, and it's eluding me, but I know he had a bloody face. It might have been Tajiri again. Didn't he have 2 matches with Tajiri?
I think so.
And I think he got a bloody nose in both of them. Either way, it was just something that I thought was worth noting. European uppercut finds its home, but a wild back elbow swing does not off the whip, and Van Dam scores with a crossbody of his own that gets the near fall. Another wild swing from Regal sees the challenger capitalise with a backslide pin that gets 2. A lovely shift of position from Regal, who trips the leg of Van Dam, bringing him to the canvas, where he scores with a number of forearms to the back of the head. JR talks about RVD having educated feet, with one going to Yale and the other going to Harvard, as he's suplexed, by the champion and has to kick out at 2. Uppercut in the corner. It must have been a hell of a commute if both feet were going to different places. I don't know how he did that. His poor groin, holy hell. High kick and more forearms against the ropes as Van Dam looks to whip Regal across the ring, but is countered into a Japanese stranglehold neckbreaker. Great execution, and Regal makes the cover for a near fall, and my God, Van Dam sells it well. Mm-hmm. It's just the way he kind of all his bones leave his body at the same time. It's brilliant. Japanese stranglehold applied by the champion, but Regal works his way to his feet. What?
Ooh.
Applied by the champion, but RVD works his way to his feet. Ooh. There it is. And flips Regal over to escape. Another high kick finds the mark for Van Dam, and he looks to connect with a rolling thunder, but Regal gets the knees up on the landing.
Damn it.
Tiger driver with pin lands for Regal, but Van Dam is up at the count of 2.
Oh, sorry, what's that called?
Tiger driver.
Thank you.
Utilising his landing position, Regal looks to secure the Regal stretch, but Van Dam counters into a small package and gets 2. Never not funny, is it?
No.
Rushing forearm lands from Regal, who takes a moment to wave to the crowd, and King replies, "Hello, how are you?" Second attempt at a Tiger driver is avoided as Randam.
Oh.
As Van Dam runs Regal back first into the corner. Flurry of forearms and a kick score before the champion is whipped into the buckles. Miscommunication now, as Van Dam feigns going for a drop kick, steps forward a touch, and then decides to actually take off for one, but it does score. Whipped across the ring once more, and Van Dam follows in with a rolling monkey flip. Regal finds himself punched into a corner. That is not what I have put here. This is dark. Regal finds himself punched into a coroner.
Oh.
Okay. That's a hell of a punch. And Van Dam now begins to run the shoulder into the midsection. RVD backflips away and ducks a clothesline. He catches a kick and looks to land with a step-over spinning back kick of his own, but he gets caught, and Regal folds the challenger on his neck with a half Nelson suplex, and Van Dam even clutches his neck when he hits, and I thought, oh shit.
Yes.
Thoughts, Holly?
Don't like that.
No?
At all.
That surprises me.
At all. Leave the necks alone, people.
Leave the necks alone. Oh, dearie me. Van Dam is in trouble, and it looks like he has been busted in the mouth as well, as he rolls to the outside, favouring his neck. After a while, Regal follows him to the floor to return him to the ring, but not before retrieving the brass knuckles that had been kicked to ringside. As he returns, the ref has spotted the weapon and takes them from the champion. They must have been the decoy set, as Regal is right back in his trunks, but doesn't see the jumping spinning back kick coming that puts him down. Up to the top goes Van Dam, and he takes flight with a 5-star frog splash that finds its mark. Deep hook of the leg, and we get the 1, 2, 3. Rob Van Dam wins the Intercontinental title by pinfall. Holly, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. Good opener for me. On my little hopeful W.
A lot of W's in this.
Well, yeah. I really enjoyed it. It's a good pace. Wasn't too long. There was no real shenanigans, as I call it. Like the brass knucks were tried to feature,
but didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah.
I did give it a 2.75.
Okay.
Because it wasn't majorly amazing.
No, I think that's a fair score.
But I enjoyed it. Good start.
So Dave Meltzer's scoring for this. Obviously, we've managed to obtain them, being at WrestleMania. Your Uncle Dave, 2 stars. I personally give it 2.5.
Okay.
So I thought it was perfect. I might have scored it what you did had there not been the couple of awkward moments that just took me out of it for a second.
And I'll openly admit that I will give a little bit of an overscore always because it's RVD. I'm just a big fan.
Especially if Jerry Lynn's involved, that's probably going to be 5-star material right there. Judgment Day. Never not funny to me, that one.
No.
With Rob Van Dam making his way up the aisle with his new championship in hand, the cameras now take us backstage where Christian begins mockingly grinning at the lens from close up.
You see, when first note, Christian and his nipple getting an interview.
Love that.
It's all I can see now.
As the camera zooms out, we see that Christian is in prime mesh vest with not one Holly, but 2 nipples poking their heads through the weaving. So that was my second note. He drops the smiling act as Lillian Garcia says that we have just seen one title change hands. Will we shortly be seeing another? Mm-hmm. Christian begins mocking his former mentor, DDP, once more with over-the-top smiles as Lillian points out that this event is taking place in Christian's hometown.
Yes.
A VT plays footage from the previous week showing DDP hitting a diamond cutter on Billy Gunn to help Christian defeat him on Raw. After the victory, the two men high-five before Christian turns on his mentor and drops him with a reverse DDT and unloads with right hands. Back at the interview area, Christian is laughing at what he has just seen. Lillian asks him how he could turn his back on his mentor like that. Christian says that first of all, he won that match by himself, so let's not kid anyone, and that once he returned to his winning ways, he no longer needed the help of DDP anymore. Let's just hope for his sake that he doesn't need DDP yoga anytime soon, because that door may be shut. Christian also reminds Lillian that once he became the huge international star, he didn't need the second-rate city of Toronto as he moved to Florida. There was a theme, actually, around this time where a lot of Canadian wrestlers were being billed as being from America.
Okay.
So I might have mentioned it later on, but for example, Christian was stated as, I think it was Tampa, Florida. Chris Jericho was New York. Chris Benoit was Atlanta.
I didn't know he was Canadian.
You didn't know Chris Benoit was Canadian?
No.
Have you not heard him speak? You know, before the double murder
I don't
on
know.
suicide.
I've clearly not paid that much attention to his voice. I knew the others.
He's not quite test Canadian, because I don't know who is.
Now I know he's Canadian.
Yeah, what's that all about? But yeah, they had this whole
okay.
thing of making Canadians from America, but this makes sense for Christian because they want him to be a heel.
Okay.
He signs off by saying that he is so over those temper tantrums and is in touch with his emotions, meaning he is ready to retake his title as the champion of Europe. Christian is a winner, and for DDP that is not a good thing. That's a bad thing. We get one more goofy-ass smile from the American, before he slides out of view. From here we get taken to CN Tower overlooking Toronto and then get a shot directly down towards the stadium, and I hope nobody suffers from vertigo. Match number 2.
Yeah.
Whose corner are you in here?
Oh.
Christian versus DDP for the WWF European title.
This was a really hard one to actually pick one, because before this Christian always would have been
of course.
a pick. But I hated this Christian.
Yep.
I hated it so much because they just made him look like an absolute buffoon.
Yes.
And I just hated it.
And he didn't ask anyone like Lillian how their dad was doing or anything like that. So he wasn't in his full,
He wasn't his
turtleneck.
fine wine Christian.
Yes, he wasn't his vintage. Yes.
But I just hated this,
Yeah,
what they did to him here.
Yeah, he just came across like a little bitch.
Yeah.
And JR on commentary goes in on him. And it's quite amusing, to be fair.
So I'll be honest, I didn't care.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We get a Holly doesn't care match. That's never a good sign historically.
No, because also I've not seen... I know who DDP is, and I'm more invested of him outside of wrestling.
Yeah, of course.
I find that so fascinating, and I'm so interested in that. From what I have seen of him wrestling-wise,
You haven't seen him in his peak.
No, I only know him as being the 48-year-old plus...
Yeah, the self-high-five guy.
The shiny teeth, burning my corneas.
Yeah, whereas in WC... It's annoying, actually, because one of the shows I was going to put on the docket for us in the next few weeks, but obviously I can't now because it's not on the network. Well, the network doesn't exist for us. Is a match that he had... Well, it was a show, but the main event was him against Goldberg.
Okay.
In WCW, and it was one of Goldberg's better matches, and
Really?
I thought, it was decent. I'm pretty sure from speaking to Jamie's a big fan of that as well.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that would have been a good show to
Yeah.
put forward, because having seen the dross of certain people, I want to give you the reverse of them, so because you will have it in your head that he wrestles a certain way, and what we've seen of DDP wrestling so far in the show has been shite. Like the match with Big Show, was it? Oh my God! In the UK, no, none of that, please. But he did have good matches in WCW. I'm sure they will resurface at some point, whether that be on Netflix, YouTube, whatever. But at the moment, it's not at our disposal. But it's something that I would like to get you to see. So for me, I would be backing DDP in this one purely because I couldn't get over Christian's little soy boy beta cuck behaviour in this. So we now head into the second match of the night, and I'm pleased to confirm that Christian's hair is well and truly sodden, which is good because that suggests that the rest of the card you're going to get a lot of sodden long hair.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. Holly, is this peak Christian look right here? Not necessarily character.
Yeah, because also his entrance music is what I remember as well. So yes, look-wise, just not character.
No, fine. Character. To me, this is, when I think of Christian as a wrestler, this is what comes to mind. Obviously, which is funny to think, because most of his career, really, when you look at the grand scale of things, he's had the short hair, but he's always going to be long hair for me. But yeah, again, hated the character, which is probably the job that he was trying to do. Yeah. But I don't know if it was a I don't want to see you at all type hate. A bit like the X-Pac side of things. I didn't want to see him backstage. Okay. Have him in the ring, fine. Okay. But no talking on the mic, no fake acting backstage. That's fine. Yep. The point I've actually got written down now is about how Vince had the obsession. So I'll read it here for you just verbatim. So as stated earlier, he's announced as being from Tampa, Florida, and this reminds me that it was around this time that Vince started getting Canadian wrestlers as being billed from the States. Christian was Tampa, Jericho was New York, and Benoit was Atlanta. The man always used to get these weird obsessions that he couldn't shake until he had flushed it out of his system, and for some reason this was one of them. He wanted, I don't know why, and I don't think that the Canadian wrestlers, for the most part, were particularly happy about it. Although Chris Jericho was actually born, I think, in New York. But Trish is allowed to still be Canadian. Yes. But if you think about it, Chris Jericho is a heel. Christian is a heel. I think Benoit was out with a broken neck at this point, so he wasn't around at all. Yeah. And Trish Stratus, you don't want her coming out as she's the attraction in that match. Yeah. Later on. Okay. So it's just bizarre. But yeah, they never changed Trish, as far as I'm aware, to being from somewhere else. Could be wrong, but I think that's the case. It's me, it's DDP. Making his one and only WrestleMania in-ring appearance, which I don't know if that's true, because I think he was in some sort of weird battle royal, or he did something in the ring at a WrestleMania. Like one of those Andre the Giant memorial things. Oh, shove them all in. Yeah, I feel like he made a surprise appearance. Yeah, I think he made a surprise appearance in one of them, so I might have been doing him a disservice. Is the future saviour of broken down wrestlers and current European champion Diamond Dallas Page. Holly, how old was DDP right here? 48. Just shy of 46 years of age. Oh, I googled it and I thought it was 48. I did the math. I think he was 46. Fair enough. Or just shy of 46, so 45. Christian was 29. He looks it. Yeah. Yeah, he does. The hair. No. No, I prefer his curly, longer mullet type thing that he had in WCW. I don't know if you've ever seen that look, to be fair. Although you have seen him at a WrestleMania before, do you remember? Yeah, maybe. Was he... No, it's not going to be him, is it? I'm going to say it and sound stupid. No, I can't do it. You can't do it? You're not even going to take a punt? Does it involve a vehicle? It does involve a vehicle. Was he driving the car for... I want to say Honky Tonk Man. I got lost out Bruins and was it? Was it? To your Shut your mouth. Yes. Wow. So he owned a pink Cadillac. Aren't you impressed? Yes, very impressed actually. And he drove Honky Tonk Man down to the ring. I think with Greg the Hammer Valentine as well. And I feel like it was WrestleMania 6 in the same arena. So he actually reappeared at the same venue all these years later, where he was the chauffeur and he had the long curly mullet type thing. And it worked for him, to be fair, that look, I thought. Oh dear. Well, I just... This being DDP's only proper match in WrestleMania is weird to me. But anyway, as soon as DDP slides into the ring, he's immediately set upon by Christian with stomps as the bell sounds. Christian tears the title away from DDP and hoists it into the air to a mixed reaction from the fans. Christian scores with more right hands and goes to whip the champ, but there is some sort of miscommunication as they just kind of let go of one another. They try again and Page ducks a clothesline before landing a number of right hands of his own. Not yet taking his waistcoat off, which I know will have annoyed you, Page gut wrenches Christian onto his shoulders before swinging him back down into a gut buster. I actually like that. It's not something you see often. It was good. Page points to the fans before clotheslining both himself and his challenger over the top to the floor. Now the waistcoat comes off and Christian is sent face first into the barricade twice before being bounced off the apron on his way back into the ring. DDP delivers some win twice approved Sesame Street punches in the corner, but apparently out of the ref's view, Christian delivers a deep, and I do mean deep, low blow. How did the official miss this, you may ask? Well, The tit went onto the apron to tell DDP to climb back down. No ref has ever done that. Do it from the ring. What are you doing? Anyway, it works. I guess it did something. Grabbing the legs, Christian walks forward and drops DDP face first onto the top buckle. Christian suplexes Page up into the air and drapes him across the top rope before landing a number of big right hands. Off the ropes goes the challenger and he tackles Page off the apron, sending him crashing down onto the barrier at ringside. Christian climbs out of the ring to deliver a goofy smile, which makes the fans laugh before returning his attention to the champion. That, I'll be honest, that one made me laugh too.
Yeah.
Page is rolled back into the ring where Christian starts to stomp a mud hole in the corner and finishes with a choke courtesy of the boot. And I'm not saying that because he's Canadian. DDP is wilting in the corner under barrage of strikes before Christian takes his eyes off the prize by mocking the diamond cutter signal and finds himself grabbed by the side of the head and launched back first into the buckles. Big right hands land and Christian is whipped across into the opposite corner. Page sees the boot up. Every time I see boot now in a Canadian match, it's going to ruin it for me. Yeah. Page sees the boot up on his charge. Sees the boot. Oh, and slides under the bottom rope to trip the challenger. Hello. Are we thinking Big Boss Man? Are we thinking Baron Corbin?
That's who I think of, yeah.
Baron Corbin, of course.
Yeah.
Who's no longer with a company. Oh,
stop it.
Sad times. Although good at jiu-jitsu, I've learned. Big right hands. No, we've done that. Page panders to the crowd before looking to drive the Canadian's plums into the ring post, but instead finds himself dragged face first into the metal instead.
Take that drink.
And that is the first of the night. A malfunction at the junction indeed, as JR puts it so eloquently.
Love that.
I do. Christian retrieves Page and rolls him into the ring where he quells the champion's attempt at a fight back before applying an abdominal stretch. DDP elbows his way free but misses a wild swing and gets planted with a reverse DDT over the challenger's knee. Hook of the leg gets a near fall. In the corner, Christian begins choking away until the ref forces the break. Corner whip is reversed by Page, but the challenger manages to get the back elbow up in time on the charge. Up top goes Christian, but he is far too slow and is punched in the gut before being press slammed all the way back to the canvas. Both men are down but manage to beat the referee's count as they return to their feet. DDP ducks a clothesline off a whip and raises a fist as though going to strike. Christian covers up and ducks down, so Page grabs him and drives him into the canvas with a sit-out powerbomb. I like that.
Yeah.
1, 2, no. Christian reverses a whip with a knee to the breadbasket but misses a wild swing. DDP catches him and looks for a back suplex, but Christian lands on his feet, where he hooks the arms and looks for the unprettier. Page prevents it and hooks the neck for a cutter, but the challenger shoves him into the buckles. DDP sidesteps the charge and hooks the neck, looking for the diamond cutter once more. Christian stubbornly holds onto the top ropes from the corner to prevent it and eventually counters into a reverse DDT. I also like that.
Yeah.
1, 2, no. Really nice sequence. Christian is livid but catches himself and controls his breathing to calm before marching over to DDP and being secured in a small package that he only just kicks out of. Page catches the boot and spins Christian around before an awkward pause that sees the challenger eventually throw a right hand, only to be caught in a diamond cutter. Hook of the leg for the 1, 2, 3. DDP retains the European title by pinfall. After being handed the title, DDP requests the microphone. He tells Christian that he's proud of him. He lost tonight, but he didn't lose his temper in front of the 67,000 fans in the arena and the gazillions watching at home, and yes, he says gazillions. That isn't a bad thing. That is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. Okay, right, this bit.
Go on.
DDP exits the ring as Christian begins his temper tantrum, and JR on commentary is gold. Oh, someone give him a change of diaper. Somebody powder his bottom. How embarrassing is that? Christian has a glorious bitch fit as DDP decides he wants to exit through the fans, but takes a moment to throw up the diamond amongst them. Holly, what do you think of the match?
All right.
Okay.
Not bad. Not good. In my humble opinion. I gave it 1.5 because there were some bits in there that I was like, oh, actually that was all right. Like, I feel like I was pleasantly surprised a little bit, but not a lot. But I'm glad at the length of the match because it wasn't too long.
Yep.
If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't massively enticed.
No, I think
No.
your score's fair.
Oh.
So Dave scores it 1.75, which is the score I landed on.
Okay.
Reading it back, if I hadn't seen the match myself, it reads better than it looked, if that makes sense.
Yes.
There are a couple of nice sequences in there
Yes.
that they did, which I really thought was good. But there was a general awkwardness, I thought. I don't feel like they had worked together often enough to build up a rapport.
Gel was missing.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
For
So,
sure.
yeah, I give it 1.75 as well, which is, only marginally higher than you did. But again, we're not a mile apart.
Lovely.
Now, Holly, what we go to next is one of the promos that lives rent-free in my head to this day. Now, Holly, we know what you think of The Rock's promos.
Yes.
Third person talking. What did you make? I'll go into the usual bits and pieces that I normally do, but what did you make of this promo?
It's really hard to actually put into words what I've thought about this.
If you could try for a
It's
podcast, that'd be
really
beneficial.
hard. I mean, my first note says he's dripping.
Oh, he's
Dripping.
Yeah.
Whatever warm-up he's doing, he might want to calm it down if he's that sweaty that early on, because he don't go on for a little while.
No, he doesn't.
The third person talking is off the charts. I know they all do it, but for some reason his just knocks me so much more than everyone else's.
He does it more consistently than the others.
Yeah, and his smell the fart acting is just unreal.
I forgot you refer to it as that. Yeah, you're not wrong, but in some situations it really works.
Yeah,
And-
annoyingly, I think you're right.
And I'll have to give credit, because you don't like the person interviewing him either.
Oh, no.
I think the coach does a fucking bang-up job in this
He
one.
does, actually.
A really good job.
Yeah.
Like, he almost outperforms The Rock in it, if I'm honest, which is unbelievable. So we head back to the interview area backstage and see a positively dripping wet People's Champion pacing back and forth as a tuxedo-wearing coach stands beside him. Well, tonight, Rock, this is the biggest night of your career, the biggest match in the history of this business, the biggest event, and that is the moment The Rock's hand goes up in the face of Coach. He closes his hand into a fist and has the fans eating out of the palm of his hand. He pauses before saying, finally, The Rock has come back to Toronto.
Of course.
The Rock references Hogan standing in the ring and asking him, what you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? But that is exactly what The Rock wants. Rock builds up the match as being one that will cement who will go down in history as the greatest of all time. The Rock wants Hogan at his best. The Rock stops dead before looking wide-eyed back at Coach and asking him if he has taken his vitamins this morning. Well, actually, Rock, I did. Which The Rock immediately mocks. The Rock now asks Coach if he has said his prayers. Coach informs that he got busy, which The Rock cannot believe. You got busy? The Rock gives his thanks every day. We all do. And you got busy? Rock asks him what he's waiting for and takes the microphone off him before excusing himself for 1 second. Rock returns his gaze back to the camera and asks the fans if they want to see Coach say his prayers, which they very much seem to want. The Rock tells Coach to put his hands together, look up to the sky and get down on his knees. The Rock says they all believe in him and to say his prayers like he has never said them before. He lowers the microphone to Coach, who starts with, "What up, G?" And with that, The Rock looks away in utter confusion and disdain. What in the blue hell is wrong with you? The Rock raises his boot and shoves Coach off screen, calling him a sick freak. The Great One returns his attention to Hogan and asks Hogan what he's going to do when he has butterflies in his Hulker stomach and he reaches down to see if he still has his Hulker strudel. Oh. What is Hulk Hogan going to do when The Rock runs wild on you? The Rock signals or signs off with his own catchphrase whilst tearing the shirt off his body like Hulk Hogan. This, to me as a kid, was brilliant. One of my favourite promos growing up, and it's just rent-free. Just the way he interacted with Coach is great.
Annoyingly, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, but it's not even his best work either.
No.
But it transcends a lot of others for me because of like the placement, where it was, and how I felt about it. And I remember I watched it back, obviously, here, and I was chuckling along just because like at certain phrases, like "What in the blue hell is wrong with you?" I remember him calling him a sick freak and kicking him off. It's just great. It's just great. Now, going from one end of the spectrum, we now head into match number 3.
Yeah.
Goldust versus Maven for the WWF Hardcore title. We recently learned, obviously, that Maven might have been replacing other gentlemen on this show. The testicles. We've got the biggest testicle in the room right here, actually. Holly, his fan.
Oh.
That's what you know. Come on. That wasn't low-key brag
Like,
about testicles.
what?
No, he called his fan testicles, didn't he? And you are, therefore, a testicle. It's not an insult. It's fine. So, Holly, who did you back in this one?
Maven.
Maven?
Yeah.
What? Really?
If I had to pick one, I don't enjoy a Goldust match.
Not even against Triple H?
No.
Okay.
I don't like them. I've not seen one that I've looked at and gone, oh, great.
Okay.
But also, I don't care.
I know you don't care.
I don't care. This, if I was there, I'd be willingly offering to go do the beer run.
Okay, cool. I didn't know where you were taking that sentence until you said, I'll be willingly offering. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and you'd come back with at least 4, I'd imagine, as well. So,
Of course.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm not even like using that as an insult. I think it's smart business. So, Holly, it's been a while, but the screen takes a letterbox frame and drops to a golden hue as the other grandson of a plumber heads down to the ring. When he gets there, he is straight under the ring retrieving golden trash cans that he throws into the ring, although the first one is clearly getting caught on something as it takes him longer than he would like. His opponent, the winner of the very first season of Tough Enough, Maven. So new is the hardcore champion that his entrance video is footage of him training on the show. Apparently not enough material on the lad just yet.
No.
As he looks to make his way into the ring, Goldust breaks from his crouching position and charges him with a knee that knocks him back down to the floor. I actually like that.
Yeah.
And also, we haven't yet had a match that hasn't started with both men in the ring
True.
waiting. It's been, oh, right, I'm going to jump you. Attitude Era.
Yeah.
That's
What's it called? Forcible entry.
forcible entry, yeah, sexual assault, something like that. I can't remember. It was all of them Vince McMahon had on the chopping floor. As he looks to make his way into the ring, no, we've done that. Goldust removes the hardcore title off Maven and sends him upside down into the barricade, which looks actually quite nasty. Goldust picks Maven up and lies him atop the barricade, climbs to the apron, takes a moment to pose, before flying down with a tomahawk chop across the chest that flips Maven head over heels into the aisleway. It must be time for the great WrestleMania bake-off as Goldust cracks a baking tray over the back of the champion. The two men return to the ring where Goldust positions a trash can lying down, picks the legs of Maven and catapults him, but misses the end destination. Upon hitting the canvas, Maven bounces up, grabs the trash can, tosses it to Goldust, who catches it and tries to dropkick the metal into his face, and it's a complete mess.
Yes, it is.
Hook of the leg, unsurprisingly, only gets 2.
Shocking.
Goldust goes downstairs. Not under the ring. Goldust goes downstairs and looks for a suplex that is countered into a small package. That nearly steals a win for Maven. Right hand misses from the champion and Goldust scores with a neck breaker that earns a near fall. Front suplex lands for Goldust and he heads out of the ring to retrieve a golden shovel. He lays the weapon on the canvas and stamps on the metal, causing the other end to smack Maven in the ribs.
That was mildly amusing.
Yeah, I admit to not hating that. Goldust, actually, this is a good point as any to say that, obviously with Maven being still so new,
Yes.
Goldust is a great person to put him in there with, because he's such a solid, if unspectacular, pair of hands that he'll get him through a match. Whether it's going to be great or not is a different matter.
Yes.
But he's
most
like
of the legwork, really.
he's basically he's the safe pair of hands that they've put him with, which I think is probably a good shout. Goldust wedges a golden trash can between the top and middle ropes in the corner. He runs Maven into the opposite buckle before landing a number of palm thrusts to the throat. Hard whip sends Maven back first into the trash can, and we get a cover for 1, 2, no. Back outside, Goldust retrieves another golden trash can lid and climbs back onto the apron. What he hasn't realised, though, is that Maven has another, and they both score with headshots at the same time. Goldust crashes to the floor, and Maven folds on the canvas. The crowd start to make noise now as Spike Dudley slides into the ring with an official, makes the cover, and we get the 1, 2, 3. Spike Dudley wins the hardcore title by pinfall. Holly, talk to me about that.
What? That was a thing. Okay. Like, I'd forgotten that was even a thing. But I suppose it was like the 24/7 thing, wasn't it?
Yep, it's exactly that.
But shit.
Yeah, shit is where we're finishing off with that. He jumps into the air to celebrate before snatching the title and heading through the crowd as Crash Holly is in hot pursuit. Holly is both confused and annoyed by what has just happened here. The less said of that, the better. This unfolds throughout the night.
Yes.
But let's give the score for it now.
Let's.
Because this is where I've put in Dave's score for it.
0.5.
Oh, close to what Dave went for. He went for minus 0.5.
I had to give half a point for something. It was crap.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I think when you play it out over the event, as a kid, I was probably more entertained. Now it's just absolute dross. But I would probably side with your score, as in half a star. I gave it something because there was a couple moments where we see Hurricane with the world's thinnest and longest erection later. So don't worry, we'll get to it. We'll get to it all. But there was a couple of things I was like, that's all right. Weirdly, I like the Al Snow bit as well.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay.
But
yeah.
And also there's a moment where it actually looks brutal. And we'll get to Mighty Molly later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We swiftly head to an on-screen promo of the upcoming WWF title match, which apparently we will now be told the story of, courtesy of Drowning Pool and their new hit Tearaway. King is very excited, and I can really see the Memphis native enjoying this type of music. Lillian Garcia introduces platinum recording artist Drowning Pool, that's very much what I'm saying about Saliva as well, who are set up at the top of the entryway and serenade us with Tearaway as a promo video package plays on the big screen. Something I did notice, you tell me the lead singer doesn't look exactly like the late Bray Wyatt when he was Husky Harris. Mm-hmm. Uncanny at certain angles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was actually a pretty great rendition, if you ask me.
Yeah, I liked it.
But
again,
we didn't.
I like Drowning Pool, so this is my era of music.
For sure, mine too. But we didn't hear Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
No, that's my favourite.
Yeah, of course it is. But I thought, again, really good rendition.
Good.
Yeah, very good. The hardcore match continues now at this point, so we tag back in. Don't worry, I've got it covered. Just when you think the fun of the last match is over, we head backstage where we see Crash Holly laying in Spike Dudley, who gets tossed into a wall. Crash makes the cover, but Spike kicks out at 2. The two men begin trading right hands when all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a golf cart comes screaming by with Al Snow and referee Teddy Long sat in the seats.
Is it like that?
Spike and Crash move out of the way and the cart slams into a curiously placed wall of cardboard boxes which collapses upon impact. I really liked it.
It was funny.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was really meant to be, but it was
I'm
funny.
sure it was meant to be funny. Crash and Spike...
Just FYI, that's where my enjoyment of this finished.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Crash and Spike continue their brawl until Spike tosses Crash into the steel shutter. He snatches his title and looks to leave when all of a sudden, on a cable, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, Holly. That's the fucking Hurricane, who scores with a kick to the chest, hooks the leg, and gets the 1, 2, 3. Man just got thrown into a wall and kicks out, but 1 foot to the chest, done.
It's because it's a Hurricane.
Of course it is.
Damn bad.
And he is the new hardcore champion.
Yep.
Did you not enjoy that?
I mean, I did smile a little bit,
I
but
bet you
only
did.
because I'm like, it's Hurricane.
He poses, grabs the title before spinning and zooming out of shot. Al Snow returns to the scene through the mountain of broken boxes and falls over in the process. He is less than pleased when he realises he is too late. The cameras now take us to the commentary table where JR and King discuss the title changes that we have witnessed so far tonight, which includes a replay of the most recent hardcore title change. We're very much changing the pace up now, though.
Yes.
With the next match.
Thank God.
Friend of the show, Kurt Angle versus Kane.
Yes.
So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the match,
Sure.
what were you expecting here? Did you think it was going to be good?
Some
Did you think
actual wrestling?
Okay. Right, I think that kind of answers the question. Did you think it was going to be a good match
Yeah.
or a right,
Yeah.
okay. How did you think their styles would kind of gel together or not?
Yeah, intrigued to see, because obviously to me I know if Kurt Angle's on the card, at least I know I'm going to get some actual wrestling.
Yep.
At some point, not just hands.
I think
hands,
the same with Benoit.
Feet, hands.
Benoit and Angle I put in a similar category for that. You know you're going to get wrestling when they're on the card.
But also it's so weird because in my head I think that Kane is like 10 foot tall and Kurt Angle was 5 foot, but he's not.
No, Kurt Angle's about 6, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's just 6 foot. So, but my brain was like, oh, I wonder how the height thing will work for my brain.
Kane is just shy of 7,
Yeah.
I think. So he's tall, but I think he's 6'10", I want to say, is his actual height.
Yeah.
And yeah, Angle's 6 foot. So there's still a discrepancy there. So it'd be no different from me. But, well, apart from the fact that Kurt Angle won an Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck. Did you know he broke his neck? And so did Rhino.
Oh,
And Hardcore Holly.
stop.
Good. But yeah, with I don't know. I don't dislike Kane, but he doesn't often improve a match for me.
Yeah. No, I can see.
So I thought Angle's got his work cut out to get something good out of Kane. And again, I'm not saying Kane's bad because he's perfectly serviceable. Yeah. But there are a few Kane matches where I've enjoyed. Like you enjoyed the one that he had with Triple H in the.
Yes.
Was it where they were chained together?
Yeah.
I can't remember what that match was called, but you enjoyed that. Whereas I was like, yeah. So I couldn't remember the content of the match, but that was my mindset going into it. I actually forgot who won this. My guess was the person who did win this, but I couldn't remember the outcome. The other ones I could remember so far. This was the first where I went, oh, actually, who? So yeah, okay. I was. There was a level of intrigue here that I didn't have for the other matches. So we move on to the next match of the night as we hear the music of friend of the show, I've mentioned that before, Kurt Angle, as he makes his way to the ring. Kurt looks less than happy, and that might be in part to do with the "you suck" chants that he is being showered with. Great singlet as always, though.
Always.
King suggests that Kurt Angle has more gold medals around his neck than the entire Canadian Olympic team. Wrong. When he enters the ring, he heads straight to Howard Finkel and relieves him of the microphone. Howard's back.
Oh, yeah.
No idea why.
Part-time.
Yeah, maybe part-time on a show is unbelievable.
His hours kicked in.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Fran. Before Kurt Angle gets to business, that's very much an inside joke. Before Kurt Angle gets to business, he has just one thing he'd like to say. If he had won his gold medal the way Canada's figure skaters won their Olympic gold medal, he would want to shoot himself in the friggin' head. Word for word. Angle said he didn't win his medal by whining and complaining until someone just gave it to him. Have you ever heard anything about that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I watched a documentary on it actually, and it's really quite shady, the whole thing, to be honest. Kurt then refers to himself as the big red, white and blue machine, which is fucking superb.
I see.
Superb. Angle hopes Kane is listening because after tonight, blam, pyro goes off. He doesn't shoot a load in his pants. Yeah. After tonight, oh no. Kane's pyro goes off, and that is where Kurt's rant ends. Mm-hmm. Holly, another man with long sodden hair. Yes. Are we happy?
Yeah, so far so good.
Good. And he's a big beefy boy
Kane
as well.
Is looking brilliant here.
Not tempted to give it a climb?
No.
No? Fair enough. You've seen his face.
Yeah. But his credit where credit's due. Big beefy man. What?
Bag?
Oh, do you mean lazy a prawn?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Put him right in there with Finn Balor. Finn's livid are being compared to looks-wise with Kane.
I would say physically,
yeah.
Or this might be controversial, physically for me, I would prefer Kane's, a guy with Kane's physique than
of course.
Balor's. I don't want no 1% body fat man. God, I'd never eat again.
Hey! Right, where do we go from here? As Kane lumbers down the ring, King refers to him as Brimstone Breath, which is a new one to me, if I'm honest with you, and it's a shit one at that. JR points out that Kurt Angle is the only person to have won every singles championship on offer in his first 2 years of being in the business. Obviously, the championships in WWF. Although he had already held, I think, the world title briefly as well, but I guess that was also in WWF, the WCW belt. Because you know how Chris Jericho is obviously the undisputed champion. Yes. He's got both titles.
Yep.
Did you ever see the show that led to him being?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, we can see that. Basically, it was a 4-man tournament. Chris Jericho against The Rock for the World Heavyweight title, the WCW belt, and it was Stone Cold against Kurt Angle for the WWF title. And then the winners of those two matches faced off in the final, which is why Jericho always makes a point of saying, I beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll forget this whole conversation has
course I
taken
will.
place, so that's why I
In
felt
about 5 minutes.
Yeah, if that. But I felt comfortable sharing that with
Oh,
you. But
okay.
at some point, we'll see. I think it was Unforgiven or something. It was like a December 2001, I think the show took place, which is how we got to the Undisputed Championship. And it was because of Brock Lesnar that the championships split out again. But that's a story for another time. With Kane in the ring, Angle heads to the outside, but when the corner pyro goes off, he's back in the ring and clatters the masked man with the ring bell. Another match starting like this.
They're also eager to start quick, aren't they?
Yep, amen. When the bell is returned, it limply signals the start of the contest, and it's like it's injured. The bell's it's like bing, bing. By the way, just taking us off topic a second, the show that we're watching after this, there's a bell noise in there. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
You would have seen it because you're ahead of me.
Yeah, and I probably have paid no attention.
And based on the type of jokes that are being made on this show, I'm genuinely surprised we didn't see someone in particular appear at that particular moment. Okay. You'll forget this conversation also took place. It's like 50 First Dates with Holly. Every recording, it really is.
It really is. God.
Forgetful Holly. We'll start singing later.
Goes into the haze.
Yeah, the Holly Haze. That's the one. I'll tell you what, it sounds like a good beer as well, the Holly Haze.
Yeah.
A festive beer, maybe. So yeah, limp bell signals the start of the contest. Eventually, Kane begins firing back with his own right hands, but one is ducked. Yep. Yeah. Kurt ducks behind, and sends the big man flying with a German suplex. Yeah. Would you Adam and Eve it? Kurt stamps on Kane's head twice before dragging him into the corner and continuing the stomps. As the referee admonishes Kurt, Kane returns to his feet and beckons him forward, where he lands a number of big rights and an uppercut. Whip off the ropes and Angle is dropped with a back elbow. In the corner, Kane kicks Angle to the midsection and sends him hard into the opposite buckles. Kurt staggers back out and walks into a massive double choke lift before being dropped back to the canvas, or as JR puts it, right on his Olympic arse.
Doesn't he just?
Kane grabs Angle by the throat, but he grabs onto the ropes for dear life. Kane marches down the official who began to admonish him, but turns back in time to catch Angle with an uppercut as he was running in. Another uppercut in the corner scores and Angle finds himself whipped into the buckles. Kane charges, but Angle isn't there. Now Angle charges in, but is met with a back elbow. Clothesline is ducked by Angle, and he locks his hands around the big red machine and tosses him overhead with a belly-to-belly suplex. Very, very impressive. From
Isn't
both,
it?
actually.
Yeah.
Angle to get the arc he needed, and Kane to
get off.
Actually...
Yeah, get off the floor.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't see that. I wasn't seeing Kane splooge, but there you go.
Stop it.
Angle runs and scores with a clothesline that puts Kane back down, not once but twice. More stomps from the Olympian and a kick to the ribs for good measure. Using his knee and the middle rope, Angle begins a choke. When Kane returns to his feet, the masked man unloads with right hands until a swift kick stops him. And I am so sorry, Holly, I forgot to ask you who you were backing in this match.
Kane.
Angle.
I know, in my head, but it's that silly thing, isn't it? It's logically.
Yeah.
I go Angle all day long.
Yeah.
But I like to be consistent with my board
When you
choice.
say logically, why logically? As in you just think he's going to win the match?
Yeah.
Oh, see,
he's just better.
Okay, fine. I thought you were going to say logically because Kane's bigger, but then my counter-argument is, but Angle would out-wrestle the shit out of Kane, so it's not a...
No. But this is where my brain goes. It's not just... honestly, this is my explanation of why I'm so bad at the game we play. It's because I look at it and I don't follow logic. Yeah. I will look and go...
You follow Holly logic.
Logically, that person will win.
You sound like Mr. Garrison from
better.
South Park. Go, children, go.
They are better.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily what I think should happen.
But it's interesting, though, that Kurt Angle could... Obviously, I'm aware he's an Olympic gold medalist, so obviously he's a phenomenal wrestler. But the fact he could out-wrestle Brock Lesnar, because they had a contest which Angle did just edge. It wasn't like a million miles apart, but Angle did get the better of him. And then you compare that with someone like... Going back to Perry Saturn, actually, which is weird because he wasn't on the card. And Perry Saturn said that when Brock Lesnar came in, he was like just... wrestling random people and showing how strong he was, and Perry Saturn thought, I'll wrestle him once, I'll beat him somehow, and then I'll never wrestle him again. so he can never say that he beat me in a wrestling match. And Perry said he started to wrestle him. He got him in like basically a chokehold of some kind, and he said he thought to himself, that is it. And he said within half a second, Brock Lesnar had picked him clean off the floor above his head, and Perry Saturn was like, "What the fuck?" So he'd had him in a choke and thought, "You're done. You're not getting out of this." And Brock just stood up, picked him up, dropped him, and beat him. Incredible. Jeez. Incredible scenes. But so just it, because Kurt Angle is fairly unassuming, isn't he, in appearance? Whereas you look at Brock Lesnar and you go, "Oh, you like fuck bigger animals than humans."
Yes.
Like, you fuck around with bears and shit. Whereas Angle's like, "Oh no, I beat him." It's just, it strikes me as so strange, but it just shows how good technique can be. Anyway, back to the actual match that we're watching. Sternum first into the buckles he goes, and Angle follows up with a back suplex for a near fall. Front face lock applied by the amateur grappler to wear the big man down. Kane battles through and slowly regains his feet, courtesy of a few well-placed shots to the stomach, before elevating and dropping Angle directly onto his face. Angle scores with more right hands, but runs into a huge sidewalk slam, a Kane classic, if you will. Kane looks for a suplex, but Angle lands on his feet and connects with another German suplex, but he keeps the grip locked to deliver a second and then a third. Hook of the leg for the 1, 2, no. Holly, at this point, I'm going to ask you, are you wearing different socks?
Oh, is that really what you're going to ask me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're the same design,
one
but
black.
Okay, cool.
It is intentionally
right.
to be that way.
Oh, as in the pair of socks actually are like that. Okay, cool. Because I wasn't sure if you had a pair of white ones, a pair of black ones, and you thought, fuck it.
No, you're not the only person that has an issue with these socks.
I don't have an issue with it. It's just like a chessboard. I wondered what was going on. Oh, all good. All good. As long as you're happy.
Always. With socks, anyway. The rest of my life now.
I was going to say, you take the socks off of the pictures on Instagram, don't you, there?
Always.
Kurt with a little toe wriggle. Kurt heads up to the top rope where he measures his opponent and takes flight, scoring with a clothesline. As he jumps back to his feet, he woos for all the crowd to hear. Cocky, Angle heads back up to the top and this time jumps into a clothesline from Kane. Both men are down. I will be honest, I think that's what was supposed to happen the first time.
Yeah.
They return to their feet and recommence an exchange of right hands that Kane gets the better of until he's caught with a knee to the midsection. The smidsection. Kane reverses a whip and drops Angle with a big boot and clothesline in turn. Off the ropes, Angle goes again, and this time he's sent skywards with a back body drop. Corner clothesline connects, and Angle is whipped into the opposite buckles. He staggers back out into a sidewalk transition power slam, cover for the 1, 2, no. Very much enjoyed that.
Yes.
Angle gets sent to the buckles again, but gets a back elbow up to the face of the big red machine. He charges out, but is grabbed by the neck and driven into the canvas with a choke slam. Hook of the leg, and we get the 1, 2. Angle drapes his wrist over the bottom rope.
Clever.
Agreed. Kane slices his thumb across his throat, signalling that end is near. Onto the shoulder goes Angle, but he slips out the back and claws at the eyes through the mask. No, he's trying to pull the mask off. Kane desperately tries to readjust his mask, allowing Angle to score with the Angle slam and gets the 1, 2, no. Kane gets his shoulder up in the nick of time.
Tits are out.
What?
As in now, this is when Angle does his... This is the pinnacle of anyone that wears some form of bodysuit, unitard. Yep. It's on.
Okay.
The straps are down.
Because when you said tits are out, I'll be honest, I was expecting different things there. Now it's business time as the straps come down and Angle applies the ankle lock.
You're just more eloquent than I am.
Tits are out.
Tits are out.
Did you see? I've never looked. I nearly got whiplash. I looked up so quickly when you said that. Kane screams in pain, but manages to roll onto his back and shoves Kurt off. But that isn't enough as Angle jumps right back onto the hold. Kane claws his way to the ropes and makes his way back to a vertical base where he scores with an enziguri. That's not often seen from the big man. Kane is limping, so it's probably not a wise call to head to the top rope, which he does. As expected, when Angle returns to his feet, he seizes the opportunity and sprints to join him up top and throw him overhead across the ring. Angle is looking for a second Angle slam, but Kane lands on his feet and grabs him by the neck. Up he goes, but no. Angle switches position and looks for a victory roll. The pin is a mess with Kane's shoulder not being fully down, but he gets his feet on the ropes and holds on for the 1, 2, 3. Kurt Angle is your winner by pinfall. Soon as the bell sounds, Angle is straight out of the ring and back up the ramp to celebrate. Holly, what did you think of the match?
I thought it was decent. I did think there was something maybe missing. I don't know what.
No, I agree.
If you please.
Oh, I always please.
I gave it 2.5 out of 5. And when we read them back or like listen to them back, I do wonder sometimes if I over or underscore. But there was something missing. But the ending, normally these endings annoy me as well, but it made sense to me because it shows, or it went along with the whole, well, Angle hasn't, like Kane hasn't really lost. As in, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, not cleanly.
Yeah, so it made sense, but it was fine. It wasn't too long. There was some good stuff in there that I was impressed with. But there was also a bit of... It probably is Kane, do you know what I mean? It's just there's something missing. Like, Angle does all the legwork here. Yeah. But I mean,
Kane gets thrown around a bit as well, to be fair to him. So Dave scores it 2.25.
Oh,
I go 2.75.
wow.
So I actually go... I think it was the best match we've seen so far.
Oh, okay. See, I put RVD above that one.
That was close. What did I score that? Actually, did I score that the same thing? I might have scored that the same thing. So,
I did 2.75 for that one.
Oh, maybe I went... Oh, no, I think I agreed with you, actually. So I put it round there, but if there's a gradient of difference, just because it felt a bit more awkward in the RVD Regal match, I'd maybe edge... Okay. And it's impressive just seeing Angle German suplex the shit out of Kane, overhead suplex. Yeah. So I give additional props for that. But yeah, serviceable match. It wasn't mind-blowing or anything like that, but it was, it did the job. We now head backstage, where a very cautious Hurricane is walking down a hallway. He hears a noise, picks up a weapon, and heads behind a partition. A number of women walk into the room, and one removes her top to ask the others about her titties. Hurricane is peering over the partition and cannot believe his horror eyes. Now, a second woman removes her dress, and I realise these are those hoes.
Of course they are.
And she drops her skirt as well.
Yeah.
They scream in horror as we can see through the partition that Hurricane is standing there with what appears to be the world's longest and leanest erection of all time. All the screaming gets the Godfather's attention, who runs into the room and begins tugging on the broom handle that is being held by the Hardcore Champion. Now, he chases him away before he checks on his hose because, Holly, pimpin' ain't easy. God. From here, we now see the graphic of the upcoming match between the Biker Taker and Ric Flair. We see how the feud started with Flair hitting Undertaker with a pipe in the locker room. Flair is stood with his fists raised ready to fight, but Taker wants him in a match at WrestleMania. Flair says no. Taker decides that he will have to take matters into his own biker hands and decides to beat the hell out of Arn Anderson, busting him wide open in the process. Still not getting the answer he was looking for, Taker turns up the volume and goes to the WWF training facility and beats the crap out of David Flair, where he sends him a message with a battered and bloody David still in his clutches. That was the action that got Flair's attention. An enraged Nature Boy is punching himself in the forehead, which cuts him open as he confirms he accepts the Undertaker's challenge for the grandest stage of them all. The VT package picks up in pace as it shows Flair going after Taker. In his haste, he accidentally strikes a fan, which gets him arrested. Using this, Vince McMahon in a board meeting says that co-owner Ric Flair should be removed from his position. Linda McMahon asks Rick if he intends on going through with the match, which he says yes, beyond a shadow of a doubt. As such, the board grants Vince full control until after this time. We're to hear Linda say Mr. McMahon, and not Vince. Vince lauds the power he has over Flair and makes the match against Taker a no disqualification match.
Ugh.
On paper, you think The Undertaker, Ric Flair, interesting.
Do I?
I did because they're two very distinct personalities.
I just don't want to watch The Undertaker.
As in general, or Biker Taker specifically. Have I turned you on Biker Taker?
I mean, I like... Right, let's be clear. What do I like about Biker Taker?
The song.
That's it.
The bike?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind. But,
okay.
But that is it. But even Undertaker for me has always just been dull.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. I don't think I've
Take that, you phenom bitch.
watched too many of his matches. I mean, there's probably a couple that I'm pretty sure I've watched and been like, oh, that was
for sure. He's had, I can tell you matches off the top of my head that he's had that have been very good.
And especially put him with
Ric Flair.
Oh, I did not want to watch this.
See, the thing for me is Ric Flair is very good in certain match types. This match, as we will go on to explain to people through this, was, funnily enough, actually, if we just wind it back a little bit. Yeah. So when I first watched this as a kid, I was so behind Ric Flair. I didn't even detest Biker Taker like I do now, but I was so behind Ric Flair, like the underdog, the old guy coming back, kick his ass. Yeah. And I don't remember disliking the match.
Okay.
Rewatching this, it is one of the most turgid. Do you remember the one match I got really angry at? Was it Stone Cold and Undertaker? And we saw that twice. The second one was actually better, but the first one we saw, levels of rage that I rarely experienced when watching wrestling. This was every bit up there for me in terms of the frustration at watching what was unfolding. And I've seen interviews about this. So Undertaker, obviously, now that he's kind of, retired, he's not living the gimmick that Vince had him live. He, talked about the match with Ric Flair. And I've got a story on that as we go into the match, and I'm guessing so have you.
So, my lovely little long story here.
I'll tell you what.
If yours is yours, you do yours.
No. No, you've got, because your stories are, without being rude, fewer and further between.
Yeah, because I'm incapable of reading.
Didn't say that. So, but they're always worthwhile. So I'd rather you, when we get to that point, you cover it off. Is it worthwhile dropping that story in now, do you think, before we go to the match?
It makes sense for it to be after.
Okay, fine. So mine's during, so I hope I don't tread on your toes. It's really,
it's
short.
From Taker anyway. So
yes.
Mine's from Flair.
No, mine's Taker.
So.
Okay, cool. So we're covered. We covered both bases.
And if it means I cut mine down, oh no, what a shame.
No, I like it when you get properly into a rhythm of it. So you obviously weren't expecting big things from this match, or good things.
I wasn't, but I was Team Flair.
So you were the same as me?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's weird because...
It's boring, because I know the streak has ruined watching his matches for me.
At WrestleMania?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Will that change later on? Because
Bring on Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, but he has some good matches in there as well.
Maybe.
You won't remember them.
I don't remember, come on.
So, 2 Shawn Michaels matches at WrestleMania. Very good. One really, really good. Really good.
That's surprising.
Really good. One of the Triple H matches, of the 3 they've had, good. CM Punk, good.
Really? Oh,
do you not know he had a match with CM Punk at Mania?
No.
Yep. I think Punk was the one before it got broken. In the streak, I think. Okay. I think. He's got some turgid ones, like the one next year.
Oh, is it?
Okay. No good. It was supposed to be a tag team match, but his tag team partner was so shit he was taken out of the card. That's a story for another time. We'll get to Nathan Jones then. He ticks a lot of your boxes. Big, ripped, bald. I think he's got blue eyes. He's Australian. I don't know if that...
Sorry, I don't.
Yeah. He's been in a few films, actually, but
Big,
usually is...
ripped, bald.
Yeah.
Blue eyes.
Pretty much, isn't it? Yeah.
We're ticking them off.
Yeah, I mean, ripped isn't necessarily a requirement these days,
it's not.
but the rest is a preference, should we say. Look, my hairline's trying to catch up with your preferences at this rate. But before we actually go into this match, because obviously we're splitting this into 2 parts, I don't even know if I'm just trying to see on my notes, we're not even quite halfway through the show. So do we finish off with this being the match to end part 1?
I think that might be a good thing.
Okay, right. We'll finish this. We'll use this match as the stopping point for part 1, and then we'll jump into part 2. We're doing this in one stream, but or one recording, I should say. But yeah, it makes sense.
And just to put behind the curtain, I haven't been drinking when I've been watching wrestling for a little while, unless it's in person. This, I had a beverage.
Just the one?
I did. It was just a little...
It was long enough till you could have... A shot?
No.
Did you have a shot?
No. Like like an individual bottle.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That was... Oh my God, it's never been more necessary.
I'll tell you what, if you want to play a very dangerous drinking game that could potentially kill you in this one, every time a punch is thrown or a chop is thrown in this match, have a drink. You'll be dead. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a centurion.
No one's liver can take that kind of pounding in a short period of time. But we'll get to the match. Hey, maybe some people out there enjoyed it. You're wrong, but some people might have enjoyed it. And you're entitled to your opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. Some are just worse than others. I don't care how good the song Keep Rolling is, I will not now, nor will I ever enjoy the Biker Taker. No. And that is my opening gambit before I realise how crap this match was again.
Yeah.
The cameras do a decent job of catching Taker go zoomies on his way to the ring, but it doesn't look nearly as good as it did at WrestleMania 17 when he had a longer runway to do it.
Yes. Also, just to really put the
cat amongst the pigeons.
Obviously we know I'm 36 for my sins.
Yeah, I think
Undertaker
I know where this is
here,
going.
37. 37?
Yeah.
You joking?
No.
He's had a tough paper round.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, well, that's what wrestling does to you.
Has he looked in his 60s forever?
He's been undead for the past 15 years. Give him some credit. Or 10 years.
I knew how old Flair was, that he was in his 50s.
He always has been.
Looking like he's 70.
Yep.
But I honestly was like, are you joking? I thought at least late 40s.
I specifically didn't look up The Undertaker's age because I knew it would upset you.
Honestly. Please tell me I don't look that old. Honestly.
No, I wouldn't give Undertaker one.
No.
I don't think so.
Thank
no.
you.
I don't think I'd have a choice.
Very kind.
But I mean, to be fair, I'm only 2 years off him, but I'm aging like a banana that's been bruised.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I was fascinated and livid at the same time.
Yeah, it was this like the earthquake thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, earthquake. Oh, he's 27.
Yeah.
He's fucking what? Styling and profiling his way down to the ring is Nature Boy Ric Flair, who has not appeared at WrestleMania for 10 years. Ooh. Do you remember the last match he had at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Tell me.
No, I don't.
You liked it.
I'm sure.
Came midway through the show, which surprised me.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
And there goes the voice. No, I'm going to need a drink, actually. After that's absolutely bugging me. Fill this space, Holly. Fill this space.
Oh, God. So awkward.
Well, it is now, yeah.
Because I wasn't prepared. And
I'm
my
sorry.
first notes go straight into the match. Because I think I was just annoyed at
no,
how old
you filibustered long enough.
was.
I can take in from here. That's fine. Fill the gap, Holly. That sounds questionable. I'm having a day of it today, aren't I? Especially the thing I said off camera.
God,
yeah.
Camera?
Oh, sorry. No, you don't know about that. No, ignore that lens. No, off.
The blinking light.
Off recording. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the bathroom. It's fine. As he gets closer to the ring, he begins to remove his robe before breaking out into a full-on sprint. Okay, so this is another one.
Yeah.
Flair slides into the ring and scrambles, looking to grab the leg of Taker, either to tackle him or hump it, I'm not entirely sure, like a randy little pooch. He eventually gets to his feet and begins raining short punches on his opponent. Taker is missing with wild swings as Nature Boy continues to land his own shots. One well-placed shot to the jaw sends Taker through the ropes to the floor. You're going to hear a lot of punching in this, by the way. Not as in physical punching, but a lot of referencing of punches. Taker is missing with wild swings as Nature Boy continues to land his own shots. Oh, no, we've done that. God, don't read it again. Jesus, It's long enough. He takes a step back and bum rushes Taker over the announce desk, where they both take a messy tumble. Flair is standing over Taker and fires off a volley of right hands to the top of the head before, woo, into the fans.
My first concern, my first note, is this just going to be a punch, in quotation, because, not real, match?
Yes.
Awful.
Spoiler alert, yes. Taker returns to his feet, but that doesn't stop Flair from scoring with more right hands. As JR says, it's almost like he is possessed. Taker is stumbling around looking for respite, but does manage to floor Flair with a back elbow. That is not easy to say.
Very good.
Thank you.
Floor Flair.
Floor Flair, yeah. As Taker rolls back into the Holly Hayes is clearing. As Taker rolls back into the ring, King thinks his headset is broken, but sadly not. Still loud and clear, Jerry. Flair follows inside and fires off even more right hands that drops Taker through the ropes on the opposite side of the ring.
My God, it's like Groundhog Day.
It really is, except it's not a good film. From the apron, the Nature Boy jumps but gets caught. From the apron, the Nature Boy jumps but gets caught by Taker and run back first into the ring post.
If I can give any advice, take the biggest drink ever.
Don't stop.
just waterfall it.
Yeah,
What? That's a good reference.
Yeah, I know, but when you said that, my brain went water sport it. So I was like, don't do that.
God, no.
Never do that.
Ew.
Taker scores with rights of his own and runs Flair face first into the steel stairs before returning him to the ring. Slowly Taker follows, but when he does, he is met with more big punches.
God, so boring.
Perhaps he was playing possum, though, as he grabs Flair around the neck and throws him against the buckles to unload with punches of his own.
Shadow punches.
Rah, 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 rah,
So
rah, rah.
wank.
He's the purest striker.
So wank.
Purest striker. What the fuck does purest striker mean? Okay. Headbutt scores. Different move.
Yeah, fine.
That Flair is whipped into the buckles, but cannot go up and over. So do you know what? Let's do it again. Taker retrieves him and runs him face first into the buckles. Big back elbow and right hand find their home. At the second time of asking, Flair goes up and over onto the apron. Didn't see it coming myself. From a whip and eats a big boot to the face that drops him to the floor. On the outside, Taker looks down at Nature Boy and says, "Now we go to school."
Oh, God.
Ginger fucktard. Fuck me. How many years was that dipshit held back?
Very good.
Thank you. On the outside, the funny thing is, I actually like the original Undertaker. Fine.
Yeah.
This, bin it. Bin it, light it on fire, stamp it out, light it on fire again.
Oh,
Awful.
Okay.
Flair sits on the timekeeper's chair as yet more right hands come raining down. Like a wrath of 1,000 gods. We might even see a wrestling move at some point.
Shut your mouth. My third point. I'd like to see some wrestling.
Yeah, literally
Yeah.
word for word it says we might even see a wrestling move at some
wrestling.
point. A wrestling. All right, Vince. Flair is bleeding now, but the punishment doesn't stop. He tries to fire back.
Does if you're watching.
Definitely doesn't stop if you're watching. He tries to fire back, but Taker just looks at him and throws another big right. Looks like Taker has been caught on the cheek as he appears to be cut open as well. Back into the ring goes Flair and Taker follows in and boots him in the head. Backed into the corner, Flair eats more blows to the skull and collapses on his face.
Jesus.
Taker is enjoying dishing out the punishment but screams as Flair fires up the old Nature Boy Butcher's counter and delivers a knife-edge chop.
Finally.
First one.
Finally.
Story.
Oh.
Holly, did you know that Undertaker hates knife-edge chops? Cannot stand them. He doesn't see the point. In fact, I don't see the point of this match. In fact, he hates them so much he told Ric Flair that he could only hit him 3 times with them in this match. At least that's what he said in the podcast. That would be strike 1 on the scorecard. The second lands, as does the third. The fourth and fifth follow in quick succession. Uh-oh. Taker said, I told him he could only hit me 3 times. I counted how many chops he lands on him because of this. We're already at 5.
Good.
In short
Keep them
succession.
coming.
Taker reverses a corner whip and follows in hard with a clothesline that drops Flair back on his face. Stomp to the head, and the camera closest to the action is splattered in some of the Nature Boy's claret. Quite a good visual, though.
Yeah. I also think the fact that Ric Flair has hair brighter than the sun,
Yep.
in contrast to the blood,
Always
actually
works.
looks good.
Always works for him with that.
Yeah.
Anyone with blonde hair. That is what happens, though, Holly, when you get too close to the butcher's counter. You get splashes of blood. Mounted right to the top of the head, and the pace is very, very slow. Turgid, some would say.
Ooh.
Corner whip, and Taker connects with another clothesline. Flair wobbles out with his fists up, but is scooped up and placed atop the buckles. Taker joins him up top, punches him on top of the head before delivering a monstrous superplex. Okay, that looked awesome.
Yeah.
Taker makes the cover, and we get the 1, 2. The former dead man lifts Flair's head off the canvas.
Why?
Livid?
Yes. Yes.
I agree. Chop number 6 lands from Flair, but he falls to the canvas when he eats a big boot to the face and a falling blow to the face, which I didn't quite know what to call. Draped over the apron, Undertaker finds his mark with an elbow to the clavicle. He climbs to the apron and drops the leg over the Nature Boy's head. Hook of the leg, 1, 2, again. Taker pulls Flair's head off the canvas.
Irritating.
He shakes his head. He isn't done just yet, but I sense Holly has long since been done with this.
Yep.
More right hands find their mark as the pace has gotten even slower, would you believe it? Undertaker is too aloof and misses with an elbow drop. Chop number 7 lands, as does 8, but Taker drops the veteran with a big punch. Biker Taker grabs the wrist and slowly climbs to the top rope, and there is a wrestling god, and his name is Ric Flair, as he yanks him by the arm, and we do not see old school.
Good.
Chops 9 and 10 score, but Nature Boy runs into a sidewalk slam which gets a near fall. Taker charges, but Flair ducks the big boot, leaving him straddled on the top rope. Chop 11 and 12 score before a right hand sends Taker to the floor. Flair claws at the eyes before retrieving a lead pipe from the Undertaker's bike and cracks him in the head with it before 3 follow-up shots to various body parts.
So this match...
Yep.
I mean, it's already 10 minutes too long. Am I being a div? Was it no DQ?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, Vince made it no disqualification.
Oh, of course he did. Sorry, yeah.
So
you can
yes,
tell how
div.
enthralled I was. But I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, not good. Also, this was the thing that annoyed me. So he's just hit him clean in the head with a lead pipe.
The one thing that annoyed you.
Well, the real big
Yes.
deal breaker for me. Lead pipe to the head, 3 more shots to the body. You're done.
Yeah, for sure.
You're done. You might be dead.
Yeah.
But anyway. That is enough for Taker, who is really bleeding now, and he charges Flair back first to the apron. So he doesn't even go down.
No.
Unbelievable. With a handful...
shit.
Yeah. With a handful of blood-stained hair, Taker runs Flair into the guardrail up the aisleway. He takes a moment to walk about, but when he returns, he eats multiple shots for from a sign that Ric Flair's got a hold of. Yeah, that was weird. Back in the ring, Flair rattles off a series of rights to the face on a kneeling Taker before a big one scores. I'm so sad I'm not near the end of my notes for this. He takes a few steps back before marching right into a goozle. Taker is wide-eyed, staring at Flair, but doesn't prepare himself for the swift kick to the hairy bikers. Flair sweeps the leg and manages to lock in the figure 4 leg lock.
Oh, I hoped this was it.
Oh, didn't you? But you knew it wouldn't be, because the streak.
Oh, yeah.
Taker screams in pain. Oh, you got caught up in it then a bit.
Yeah.
Taker screams in pain until he wilts onto the canvas where we get the 1, 2, no. Taker sits bolt upright and Flair is now wide-eyed. He grabs him by the throat, gets back to his feet and chokeslams the former 16-time world champion. Taker drags himself to a cover and we get the 1, 2, no. Flair is up. So having been pulled off the canvas twice already, he now kicks out of a chokeslam.
Honestly.
Fine. Right hands to the face and another cover gets the same result. For some unknown reason, Taker picks Charles Robinson up and rams him back first into the buckles.
Yeah, why?
Why not? Because he didn't get the 3.
He's not even doing anything.
Didn't get the 3. That's all. That was the only reason he needed. Now he heads out of the ring and grabs the lead pipe. When he returns, though, Flair kicks him in the knee and lands with chop 13. Unlucky for some. 14 scores 2. Flair whips Taker into the ropes, then moves out of the way so Arn Anderson can deliver a beautiful spinebuster. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, hits that move any better than Arn Anderson, even at that age.
That's the highlight of the whole match.
It's
I'll be
incredible.
honest.
And he gets such a cheer, and then gets absolutely steamrolled. Arn rolls out of the ring as Flair makes the cover, and we get the 1, 2, no. Taker powers out, and Flair goes between the second and bottom ropes to the floor. I'm okay with that. Arn takes a right hand through the ropes as King says, that old horseman should go to the glue factory. Tough, but actually quite clever for King.
Yeah.
I can see the end of my notes. Taker goes to the outside and punches Arn for a second time before throwing him into the ring. Arn is bleeding and eats a big boot, which drops him. Now Taker applies a dragon sleeper, which means he doesn't see Flair coming with the steel chair. 4 shots land, but Flair eats a big boot that drops him. Taker looks to set Flair up to score with the last ride, but Nature Boy can't get up there. So unfortunately, Big Red ends up eating some Flair arse. He puts him down to go and try again before changing his mind, meaning Flair just flops to the canvas. Change of tack now, and the tombstone is delivered. 1, 2, 3. Undertaker wins by pinfall and is now 10-0 at WrestleMania. Charles Robinson raises Taker's hand in victory, which in response is met with a clothesline that flips him upside down. Good sell.
Yeah.
Earl Hebner is creaming, which is good as it means at least one person enjoyed this match. Taker heads to the apron where he begins counting his fingers, and when he reaches 10, holds his digits to the sky. On his bike and backstage he goes, thankfully bringing this one to its end. Holly, can you please give me the score for this one?
I'd love to. So my little notes say it's not often for me that I'd rather Ric Flair win a match. I've not watched masses of him from his prime, I guess.
No, true. We haven't seen any of him from his prime.
Again, he's similar to DDP for me. I've only seen him in later
Oh, he's been in
And
great
I don't-
matches. Great
and I-
matches.
I don't care for it. So it's not often I would watch something and go, my God, I hope he wins. Obviously, this stupid streak, I knew that wasn't going to happen. The last 5 maybe minutes of that match, 3.5, were all right.
Up until the finish.
The rest, absolute rubbish. So boring, so dull. I gave it 1 out of 5. And I've just put a little, before I bore you with this story, I put a little comment, and it's not massively relevant, but considering Kane and Taker were billed for a long time as being like brothers in quotations, and mainly just because they're tall, big guys.
Yep.
Kane, I find imposing.
Yes.
He's got that I'm not saying Taker's not in shape, right? But I look at Kane and I go, imposing. I look at Taker and feel a nothing.
In this iteration of
Yes.
him, I very
Yes.
much agree. In the
Back in the day,
yeah,
maybe.
when he's like the goatee and his skin's really pale,
Mhm.
and he's got the long hair and he's rolling his eyes into the back of his
Yeah.
head. Yeah, imposing,
Yeah.
scary. This
But
annoying.
absolutely not.
Yep.
No. Right.
So,
You ready?
do you want to hear the score before you do
No.
your story?
Yeah, go for it.
So, I'll give you my score,
Yeah.
0.25,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
that is for the Arn Anderson Spinebuster,
Yeah.
because I fucking hated this match.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst pieces of shit we've watched on this show. Repetitive, boring, too long. There was the superplex. Actually, no, sorry. The superplex by Taker on Flair was really good.
Yeah.
And Flair couldn't actually prevent himself from landing flat back. And so that
Yes.
scream, I fully believed, hurt him.
Yeah.
The ending, awful,
Oh, no.
because he couldn't get, Flair didn't get the rotation he needed for the last ride. Everything about it, like the lead pipe to the head, that ends it. I'm
for
sorry.
sure.
Not even go down
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I hated it. So
Yeah.
0.25, and I'm tempted to give it 0 stars.
I mean, I gave it what I gave it, and in contrast, I'm like, that's so high considering how much I didn't enjoy it.
You think that's high? Dave Meltzer's score,
Yeah.
3 stars.
Shut up. That's ridiculous.
I could not
There
believe
is
it.
no way.
I could not believe it.
No way that this is better than
It's the highest
actually
score he's
anything
given it.
we've seen so far.
That's the highest score he's given on the night so far.
Bloody hell.
He must have been drinking for each punch.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Also, calling bullshit on Undertaker's story of saying, I said he could chop me 3 times. What do we get to? 15?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Trying to tell Flair not to chop. That's not going to happen.
But also, why would you? Because then what else are you seeing? Just crap punches.
Yeah, I think so. The reason Taker, and I get it, the reason Taker hates chops, he's not the only one. Bret Hart's not a fan of them either, is because they actually hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt, having been on the receiving end of a chop. There's a sting there for sure,
Yeah.
and I don't mean the woo sting, like not that one,
Oh, okay.
but like a lot of the stuff doesn't feel good.
No,
But anyway,
it's not meant to, is it?
Anyway, sorry. Please do divulge your story.
Now, this was a while ago since I got this.
Okay.
So, it is from our friends at Fightful.com.
Okay.
And it says, and also apologies because I am horrendous at reading out loud.
You've done fine.
So, it says that Ric Flair admitted that his match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 18 really helped with his self-confidence. During an interview with Steve Austin on the Broken Skulls sessions, Flair talked about his run in WWF in the early 2000s and said he was perhaps at his lowest point in terms of self-confidence. Flair admitted it was hard to fit in with the rest of the locker room because he was so much older than everyone else. That all changed when Flair faced off against The Undertaker at Mania 18, and at first Flair admitted that he was surprised hearing that he was going to be in the match. This is in quotations. I shan't be doing an impression.
With a tear in my eye.
He made me. There's only 2 guys that made me in the business, plus Shawn Michaels at the end. He and Harley raced. If Harley hadn't showed up for Starrcade, that event would have been dead. When I was at the worst possible point of self-confidence, Triple H came to me and said, Taker wants to work with you at Mania 18. I said, Taker does? I couldn't believe it, Flair said. It's coming to an end. You'll be pleased to hear.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Flair would go on to say that he was having doubts in regards to his ability, even as he was walking down to the ring for the Mania match. Those doubts were erased by the time the match ended. And this is in quotations. He says, "I'm going, yeah, but I'm thinking, how can I pull this off? I still don't have the confidence. Even when I was going down to the ring, I still wondered. After the match, I walked to the back and Jack Lanza said, 'You pulled it off, you son of a bitch.'"
Brilliant.
And that is the story.
I just like the idea of Triple H going up and going, "Flair, Taker wants to work you at WrestleMania."
I just thought, weirdly from that story, it made him seem a bit more relatable.
Yeah.
That he was
had a crisis of confidence.
older than everyone else.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it still didn't make the match any good. But
I'm glad it made him feel better because it made me feel worse.
Yeah, of course. As long as someone gets something good out of it.
Yeah, it was funny though at the time because, like I said, I don't remember disliking it, but this, was an absolute chore. And before we get to what is undoubtedly another chore in the starting of part 2, I think we'll draw this one to a close, and we will see you all in part 2.
Until next time, this has been a Win Twice Wrestling production. Peace out.